really do make too much of a fuss with her, Aunt Letty.
Well, Philip has been through rather a lot, Julia. And tell me, what's wrong with trying to make life a bit more pleasant?
Nothing, I suppose.
It's such a little thing, waving goodbye. But it helps, and I'd do the same for you.
I'm family.
Why, Julia, it sounds as if you're jealous.
Jealous? Me? Certainly not. But she is only a lodger, after all.
Come to that, so are you. Look, I was pleased to have you here, just as I was pleased to have Philippa. She's had a lot to contend with. Tell me, what would you do if your husband had died so young, leaving me with a child?
I don't know. I wouldn't have gotten married in my teens. I'm not so daft.
Well, the trouble is, we're not as all worldly as you are, Julia.
I'm sorry, Aunt Letty.
No, there's no need.
No. I've been spiteful. And believe it or not, I do rather like Philippa. She and I seem to be on the same wavelength. But you do make too much of a fuss of all of us around here.
Well, I rather like having young people around me. So when your mother asked if you could stay, I was delighted. It meant that I could indulge myself.
Oh, I can't find it, Letty. I can't find it anywhere.
What, dear?
It's Friday.
All day, dear.
Yes.
Friday the 13th, to be precise. Ominous.
Oh, dear. What was I saying, Letty?
You couldn't find it, dear?
Exactly. I can't find it anywhere. Have you seen it?
Let's start from the beginning.
It's Friday. I always read it Friday morning after breakfast.
Oh, the Gazette, you mean?
Exactly. That's what I've been telling you.
Yes, of course.
I can't find the Chipping Cleghorn Gazette anywhere. You don't think they've gone on strike, do you?
Oh, no, dear, they wouldn't do that. Not here.
What a lovely thought. A strike. Picket lines, headlines in the national news. We might even be on the wireless. Reporters at Chipping Cleghorn refuse to report Vicar's garden party.
Things like that don't happen here.
No, nothing happens here. It's another world, isn't it?
And just as well, too.
This is marvelous. Absolutely marvelous.
Oh, Patrick, do tell us. We're all dying to know.
Oh, are we in a bad mood today? I had a bad dream last night.
A nightmare. It was all about you.
Well, it's better than being ignored.
What's so marvelous, Patrick?
The personal column on this rag, Aunt Letty, it's better than Dear Evelyn. Listen here. A young woman, said to be excitingly beautiful, seeks companionship with a mature man. Love, marriage, Rolls-Royce owners only. I mean, really, Bunny, I'm surprised at you. Wouldn't a Bentley owner be just as suitable?
You know very well, young man, that Bunny always reads the Gazette first. I don't have many rules in this house, but that's one. And she's been looking everywhere for it.
Well, she could have borrowed Mitzi's.
Mitzi.
Yes, she thinks it'll help her speak English.
Oh, dear me, no, I couldn't. I really couldn't. I've only got to walk past the kitchen and she snarls at me. I only want to help, that's all. I couldn't ask her. I just really couldn't. She's horrid, that Millie.
Mitzi, dear.
Yes.
Well, you won't have to ask her.
Here you go, Bunny.
Thank you, Patrick.
And I promise I won't borrow it again.
Why are you at college? It wouldn't have happened if you'd been at college.
Oh, I haven't done a lecture till this afternoon.
All that grant you get, and you never seem to do anything.
It's not my fault.
Just read your paper, Bunny. You're very lucky, Patrick.
I'm quite willing to go to more lectures.
It's all one giant holiday for him.
Thanks for nothing, sister. Anyway, look who's talking about a holiday. You've got the whole day off.
Only because I worked overtime every night this week.
Huh, hold the other one. I wouldn't be surprised if you hadn't been working overtime at all. Been to the pictures, more likely.
My goodness, did you two bigger like this at home?
He did, I didn't.
Letty?
What is it, Bunny? What's wrong?
Oh my goodness, whatever can it mean?
I won't know unless you tell me.
Here, in the Gazette, right at the bottom of the personal column.
Yes, dear?
It's an announcement.
Oh, how nice.
No, you don't understand.
No, I know that I don't.
It says, oh dear, I can't bear to read it.
But you will.
Yes. A murder is announced and will take place on Friday, October the 13th at Little Paddocks at 6:30 p.m. Friends, please accept this, the only intimation.
Are you sure that's what it says?
Right at the bottom.
This house? Little Paddocks?
Yes.
Read it again, buddy.
A murder is announced and will take place on Friday, October the 13th.
Today. I knew something terrible was going to happen today.
You were just complaining that nothing happens here. Finish it.
At Little Paddocks at 6:30 p.m. Friends, please accept this, the only intimation. Oh, Letty.
Let me see it.
It's a joke. Well, it has to be. I mean, who'd be daft enough to advertise a real murder in the newspapers?
A madman might.
It's nothing to do with you, Patrick, is it?
I'm not potty.
That's debatable.
Ho ho!
I wouldn't put it past you.
Me? It's nothing to do with me. Perhaps Philippa can shed some light on it.
No, it's not something she'd get up to anyways.
I agree. Well, someone seems to think it's amusing.
It frightens me.
It's nothing to worry about.
But what will happen at 6:30?
Delicious death!
Really, Patrick?
He means Mitzi's special cake. We always call it delicious death.
Yes. Here, Bunny. Friends, please accept this, the only intimation. Someone is bound to drop around, and I thought I could get Mitzi to make one for her, though.
I'm sure you did. Nothing is going to happen at 6:30, Bunny, but Patrick is right in suggesting that someone or other may drop in out of curiosity.
It might turn into a party.
It most certainly will not.
But nothing bad is going to happen, Bunny.
You really think so?
I promise.
Good. That makes me feel better.
We'll all laugh about it tomorrow, Bunny.
Yes. Someone is after me! I'm going to be murdered in my bed! Murdered! It is here! In the Gazette! They are coming for me.
Whoever put that silly advert in the Gazette had the precise intention of setting this house into chaos.
There will be blood everywhere. They will cut me up and feed me to the dogs!
Oh, poor dogs.
It will happen in this very house if I stay. At 6:30 tonight, you'll see. They care nothing for the law. They tell everyone they're going to murder me or they're going to let me.
No one is going to murder you. It's a joke.
I not laugh. I go.
Nevertheless, I don't think it has anything to do with you.
You don't know. Once you have escaped, they never let you get away. But I thought you did get away. They hound me day and night and day. The telephone calls. You wonder what they are, who they are from.
With telephone calls.
Agents from my country. Hi. Why do you think they keep phoning me? I expect they want to know how you're getting on over here, Millie.
But, Mitzi, I never heard you get any telephone calls.
They do it in secret. They never leave me alone. They don't like that I escaped from them. Oh, you have no idea what it is like. They interrogate me for days, weeks, months. The light shining in my eyes. My family, they sent me to Siberia. They had the door of me. They make fun of me.
Mitzi! Do be sensible about this. Nothing is going to happen to you. No one is going to come after you. No spy, no agent. So calm yourself down. We will look after you. Now here's what I suggest you do. You go get that beef out of the pantry and make that special goulash of yours.
Oh, you like my goulash, eh?
It's simply delicious.
I make it even more special for you today. I put in some wine, some rich red wine from Hungary. It makes my mouth water just to think of it.
Good, you do that. Incidentally, I suppose that someone or other may be dropping in around 6:30.
To murder me. No. Why they come?
For drinks and sandwiches, and you make such good sandwiches.
It will be all right.
Nothing is going to happen to you.
You are right. I am a good cook, no? I make it deep, too.
Yes, but not too much garlic this time.
You not like garlic?
Well, yes, in moderation, but the last dip you made, we were completely isolated in church, and that was 2 days after we'd eaten it.
I tell you then, I put in only 2 cloves this time. instead of my usual 7. But it'll not be nearly so good. I go now. Too long you'll kept me gaslighting.
Well done, Aunt Letty.
Yes, beautifully handled.
Well, I'm glad to have the two of you in agreement for once.
Letty was always very good with people. She could have come a long way. Yes, a long way.
Now, buddy, we mustn't keep reminiscing. Young people are interested in the past these days.
Dear me, I'm so flustered lately. I am sorry, Letty. Really, truly sorry.
I'm not angry with you, Bunny.
But you're so right. Everything's mixed up these days. I must be more careful and think before I say something.
No one minds. We understand. Now just read your paper, Bunny. We know how much you enjoy it.
Yes, that's what I'll do. But I won't read that advertisement again, Letty.
No, dear, don't do that.
I shan't sleep awake tonight, though Mincy could be right, and we might not be murdered in our beds.
No, dear, no. The advertisement says 6:30. I doubt that any of us will be in our beds by then.
No, I suppose we won't.
So then there's nothing to worry about.
We can be murdered down here just as easily as upstairs.
Letty!
No, don't do that, Letty,
Well
please.
then.
For a moment there, I could have seen Mitzi clearing off and me having to do the cooking from now on. And I don't need any comment from you, thank you very much.
I was just thinking about how terrible a liar Mitzi is.
We all know she doesn't get any telephone calls.
And what about her parents being sent to Siberia? Last I heard that they were executed in the Red Square.
While she stood in the snow, tears freezing on her face.
We must be sympathetic towards her. She's lonely. It must be pretty miserable with no one to talk to. No one from your background. I suppose that's why she makes up all these stories.
The lies, you mean?
Well, yes, I do, but I think I can see why she does it.
Why are her stories always such doom and gloom and despair?
It's just what she enjoys. Like how some people enjoy reading murder mysteries.
The door was open. I do hope I'm not interrupted.
Not at all, Miss Marple.
Only I popped by to deliver these to Miss Bunny.
Oh, how kind.
You remember you admired them so at the vicarage the other day? I told my nephew and he insisted you have some.
Oh, they're so pretty. Aren't they, Letty? And so unusual in the autumn.
My grandmother was able to grow them right up into the winter months. I adore violets.
Yes, there's something so very sentimental about them. Don't you think so, Julia?
I think you have a very romantic nature, Miss Marple.
Do you?
But I do see what you mean.
Well, I don't think Patrick does.
There's no romance in his soul.
Well, you are only his sister. You wouldn't see it even if it was there.
Worship people, Letty. I want everyone to enjoy them.
How about right here on the sideboard? There's even a vase waiting for them.
Oh, and there's water in it already. Oh, it must be stale. I'll get some quick. Won't be a minute.
Oh, do sit down, Miss Marple. I'm so glad that you called. I wanted to ask you to Bunny's birthday party on Sunday. I know she'd love you to be there.
Thank you, I love parties. Perhaps there's something I can do to help.
I'll be helping Aunt Letty, Miss Marple.
I'll be helping Aunt Letty this morning.
Well, you'll be sleeping in until noon, and you'll spend the rest of the day snoozing in an armchair, so we can't count on you for any help, can we?
The announcement in the Gazette. What does it mean?
Oh, so you've seen that, have you?
I should think everyone in Chipping Leghorn has seen it by now. Perhaps it has something to do with Miss Bunny's birthday.
We've no idea what it means, Miss Marple.
It's probably just some crank who's trying to be funny.
I see. I thought it was an invitation to some sort of new game or something.
Oh yes, the murder game. That sounds fun, doesn't it?
Well, if you're interested, Miss Marple, you can drop by at 6:30 this evening.
I'd love to, but I have to go into Medinham Wells for my treatment, and I'm not sure how long it's going to take. I'll do my best, though.
Is your rheumatism better?
Very much, thank you. The spa waters are so good. Give me another week, and I shall be back in St. Mary Mead.
Chipping Clayborn won't be the same without you.
I shall, Miss Ed, but I don't think my niece will be too oversorry. They've been very patient with me.
Would they like to come tonight?
I'm sure they would. My nephew's just like me. He loves a good mystery. But they're having dinner with the bishop.
It'd be rather reassuring to have a vicar here.
Well, with your neighbors, I'm sure you won't be alone. Take the Colonel and Mrs. Esterbrook for a start.
No, they're in Burnsmith.
Clara Swetman wouldn't miss an opportunity like this. And young Edmund, with two beautiful young girls around.
There's something I could do without. And Philippa says it's a layabout.
thought he was a writer.
He is, but she says that's just an excuse for him not to get a real job.
Perhaps she's got a point.
Do think that you're for me, Miss Marple. I'm touched. I really am.
He was delighted you noticed them. He brought the original cutting back from Devon, the Dart family, who was born there.
Devon violets. There's nothing quite like them.
Well, I must be going now. I hope all will be well this evening.
What?
The announcement in the Gazette. A murder will take place here at 6:30.
Oh, yes.
If it wasn't a joke or some sort of game, it would be very worrying for you all.
Well, we're made of sterner stuff than you think, Miss Marple.
But surely, Miss Blacklock, if there's going to be murder, there has to be a victim. If I were you, the question I'd be asking myself is, who's going to be murdered?
You like what I do, Miss Blacklock, yes?
Oh, yes, thank you, Mitzi. It looks nice.
The dip. Well, it is not quite perfect. In the sandwiches, I put the pate.
The pate? Not my pate de foie gras.
It is delicious.
It was a present. It came from Fortnum's. I was saving it for a special occasion.
You tell me to make sandwiches, I do it.
I was rather thinking of cheese.
Oh, your English cheese. It is like soap.
Well, we like it.
Do you need me anymore?
No, thank you, Mitzi. Are you going out?
I have things to do in the dining room. Then, I go to my room and lock myself away.
Well, before you go into hiding, could you let the guests in when they arrive? I've decided to keep the front door locked this evening.
Oh, I have everything here. Head cook and bucket washer.
Bottle washer.
Yes, that too.
Not long now. Aren't you worried?
Why should I be?
Well, supposing Miss Marple's right. Supposing some madman is going to commit a real murder here tonight.
Well, you were the last person I expected to take it seriously.
Well, I do have a few butterflies in my stomach.
Well, then relax. Have a drink.
What bothers me most is Miss Marple's comment.
Oh, forget it. Miss Marple is a real old busybody. She relishes in this sort of thing.
Yes, but she's quite a clever old busybody. And if she's right, who's going to be murdered?
No one. It's a joke. Just someone I owed hospitality to, and it must have slipped my mind.
But if it's not that,
Julia?
one of us is going to
I
die.
don't want to hear it anymore. It's nonsense.
It could be you, or even worse, it could be me.
Oh, thank you very much.
Patrick, there are times I could throttle him, and Bunny.
No, perish the thought.
I've seen you driven to distraction by her before.
Well, yes, but we've been friends since childhood. She can be irritating at times. Oh, what a horrible thought.
On the plus side, maybe it's Mitzi who will get the chop. She gets on my nerves.
That's no reason to murder her.
Philippa puzzles me. Who is she? Where did she come
I
from?
don't know exactly who she is and where she comes from.
We've only got her word for it.
Then what about you and Patrick?
But Mother wrote you, asking if we could stay here.
How do I know it wasn't a forgery?
I see your point, but it wasn't.
I'm sure that it wasn't. The same way that I'm sure about Philippa.
Well, it's going to take place at 6:30 in this room near the scene of the crime.
This is a crazy story, Buddy. It just doesn't make any sense. If someone intends to commit a murder, why on earth announce it in a newspaper for everyone to see? I should have thought it would have been wise to keep quiet about it.
You're right, Philippa. It's got to be a madman.
What about a mad woman?
It's a wonder the police haven't been around here.
Well, I shouldn't think for 1 minute they'd take it seriously.
Do you?
Of course not. It's too silly for words.
You don't sound too sure of yourself.
I certainly am. It's just someone who wants an excuse for a drink. Let's just forget it, shall we?
Oh, poor Aunt Letty. This is all rather getting on top of you, isn't it?
No, it isn't! But you just keep going on about it. It's stupid and it's childish and I've heard enough. Do you understand?
Wait!
What's the matter now, Bunny?
Infernal toys they make, Letty. They're all out on the back lawn.
Oh my goodness, I forgot to lock up the ducks. Have you been outside like that?
Like what, Letty?
Without a coat?
only to the bottom of the garden to throw some rubbish away.
Dr. Robinson would be very annoyed, and I'm not sure I shan't tell him.
Oh, please don't.
Oh, you'll be the death of me. I'd better go lock up the ducks.
I'll do it.
Certainly not, Philippa. You've been at work all day. Relax.
I'll go.
No, thank you, Patrick. I'd rather do it myself.
If I'd had my galoshes on, I'd have done it for her.
Say, Julia, notice you've stayed discreetly in the background, trying not to get your hands dirty.
No, my new dress, as a matter of fact.
That must have cost a bomb.
A friend bought it for me.
Oh, like that, is it?
Ask no questions.
Death wore black chiffon.
I beg your pardon?
Well, if you're the murderer, death wore black chiffon would be quite appropriate, wouldn't it?
I read a book called that once.
Are you sure about that, Bunny?
No, that wasn't it. Let me see. Death wore black lingerie. No, Death wore broad panties. That's it. Nice book, though there were some parts I didn't quite understand.
Patrick, there's something you can do for me.
Anything.
There's not much sherry left, so put this away and get a new one.
But there's still half a bottle here.
It's been out a long time.
But
Here are Mrs. Sweatman and her son Edmund Sweatman. Thank you. You're welcome. Bye, Larry.
it wasn't at you, it was at something else, I swear.
You keep out of my kitchen, Mitzi. This way, please.
Clara! Edmund, how nice of you to call.
We were just passing, Letty.
Really?
That's right, isn't it, Edmund?
Yes, Mother, that's right.
We were in the car, and I said to Edmund, who drives much too quickly, you know, "Oh, look, Edmund, we're passing little paddocks. Letty would never forgive us if we didn't drop by and say hello." And he said, what was it you said?
What a good idea.
And I said, yes, isn't it? So here we are.
Oh, but it was so nice of you to think of us. Do sit down. Isn't it, Bunny?
What is, Letty?
Clara and Edmund decided to drop by to see how we were.
Oh, but this morning you said they'd be bound to drop in. Bursting with curiosity, you said, after seeing the announcement in the Gazette. You did see it, didn't you, Clara?
Was it the one?
Right at the bottom of the personal column.
Yes, I may have noticed it.
Julia said you'd be here too. By a horse.
Well, now that you're here,
Totally unexpected.
Patrick, why don't we have some drinks? Drinks.
Yes. Sherry, Mrs. Swedman,
Yes, thank you.
Edmund.
Thank you. Well, Philippa, you looked busy this morning.
Things got even more hectic after you left.
I see. Having secret meetings, are we? Hatching something?
There's nothing secret about it, and we aren't hatching anything.
No, by no means. You see, I had to call around at Thayer's Hall with some honey for Mrs. Lucas.
That's your story.
Julia,
Yes, darling?
I should be careful. Otherwise, a few things might come out that the rest of us would consider most peculiar.
Drinks, everyone. Oh, here you are. Honey.
Thank you.
Ladies. Edmund. Cheers! I've laced yours with a dash of cyanide.
Well, you only live once. Cheers.
Letty,
Yes?
when is this murder going to take place?
6:30.
Are you the murderer?
Of course not.
Well, you seem to know all about it.
Well, it was in the Gazette, wasn't it?
I wouldn't be surprised if everyone in Chipping Cleghorn knew about it.
Yes, indeed.
Well, it's nearly 6:30. If it's going to happen, it'll be any moment now. Cigarette, anyone?
No, thank you.
Philippa?
No, thank you, Eddie.
Get your hands up! Stay where you are! I said, get your hands up! Do it again on the slide or do as you're told. You! High above your head! You, get away from the door!
No.
Go! Now!
For God's sake, someone turn the lights on!
Has it gone? I can't see anything. Edmund, do you still have those matches?
Blast! I don't have any.
Who's someone with the lights on?
I must be fused!
Where's the fuse box?
No, I'll go. What the hell?
What is it?
Stay there. I'll have the lights on in a moment.
Buddy? Buddy, stay calm, buddy. I'm frightened. There's no need.
He's unconscious. Must have knocked himself out.
Any idea who he is?
I have no idea. Better get his gun before he drowned.
Yes.
Will someone please help me?
Someone get her brandy. Surely we should call a doctor.
No, there's no need. It's just my ear.
Why the handkerchief?
Well, I don't suppose the police would be too happy if I rubbed my fingerprints all over his gun.
The police!
They'll have to be called in, Mother.
Is that Mitzi?
Yes, someone had locked her in the dining room.
Well, why do that?
I have no idea.
Well, hadn't we better let her out?
I'll go.
No, there might be a. I'll do it in a moment.
Are you feeling any better, Letty?
Yes, thank you.
What happened?
Our Letty's been shot at.
By this man?
Of course. Is he coming around?
No.
I wonder who he is.
I know who he is. His name is Rudy Shares. And he's dead.
Right.
So, he fires 2 shots from here, trips, and then he shoots himself.
Well, if you tripped, you could have done it accidentally, sir.
Are they all here now?
Yes, sir. Rumbling and moaning.
Ugh.
And I should watch that Edmund's sweating.
Why?
I should think he's a bit of a left-wing intellectual.
I didn't get that impression last night.
He's been a bit bolshy with me, sir. He's having me out with the force this morning. Spouting off about our Gestapo methods.
Oh, Christ. Why do I always get the awkward ones?
You do seem to attract them, sir.
Why can't I just get a nice, peaceful, law-abiding lot who does as they're told and answers my questions with a certain amount of civility?
Not your style, sir.
Once. Just once. That's all I ask. Someone up there doesn't like me. And what's more, that lot out there is trying to compound the felony.
Shall I will them in?
There's nothing else for it, is there?
Afraid not, sir.
Oh, not that door. It's been sealed for ages.
I'm sick and tired of explaining this to you.
Father knew what he was talking about. Explain it.
Father was a fool.
Father was a fool.
Your father was a fool. Your father didn't know anything about the state of the world we live in, the country we live in, the state of
Father's supposed to represent different countries. He knew.
Can I have your attention, please?
Your father didn't trade the father's recognition.
Quiet, please.
He had interaction with the person one.
Please! That's very good of you. I appreciate your cooperation.
This is very inconvenient, Inspector. It's Saturday. There's shopping and lots of jobs to be done.
I understand your concern, Miss Swetnam, but may I remind you, a man died here last night, right on the spot where you're standing. And whilst it may not seem overly important to you, it is to me. and to society in general. So, if it's not too much of a hassle, I'd like to push your shopping to the back of your mind for a while and answer a few questions.
I would have thought there were enough questions asked last night.
Ah, well, perhaps you and I think differently, young man. If you cast your mind back, way, way back to last night, you'd surely recall that I allowed all of you to go home and get some sleep on the understanding that you would cooperate fully this morning.
Well, it's perfectly clear what happened. This man, Shares was his name, I believe,
Yes.
came in here intending to steal from Miss Blackrock, or the rest of us, fired the shots to scare us, tripped in the dark, and killed himself. Poor devil.
I understand you're a bit of a writer.
Well, yes, I do write.
Well, I hope all your plots aren't as obvious as that. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be interested in reading any of your books. Now, perhaps we could get on with this?
I'm sure we're all perfectly willing to do anything you ask, Inspector, but it's been quite a shock to us, you know.
Well, I appreciate that, Miss Blacklock, but you see, for a start, he didn't break in. No locks were broken. No windows were forced.
But I locked the front door.
For once.
And everyone in the village does it. Leaves them open, I mean.
Foolish. Very foolish.
I suppose I must have left the back door open when I went to let out the ducks.
Now, Miss Blacklock, you said that you knew this Rudy Shares.
Hardly knew, Inspector. His father owned a small hotel in Montreux. I spent many years in Switzerland helping to nurse my sister, and I used to have a meal there occasionally. Recently, I had lunch in the Royal Spa Hotel at Minden Wells. He was there. He approached me and said that he'd recognize me, and that he was there to get a thorough grounding in the hotel business. I must point out that I had no recollection of him at all. It wasn't until a few days ago when he called me on here.
So he's been here before?
Yes.
I remember, Letty. You were very upset. He asked you for some money.
That's quite right. He gave me some story that his father had taken seriously ill and he desperately needed money for his airfare. Well, I believe that he was lying. After all, his father owned a hotel. Surely someone in his family could afford to send him the fare. I told him I had no intention of lending him any money. But what surprised me most is that he didn't make a fuss. He just left, like a lamb.
I see. Do you think he called on you here purely to look around, see what the layout of the house was, that sort of thing?
Well, I haven't given it much thought until now, but I suppose that's what he must have been up to. Not that it would have done him any good. I don't keep more than a few pounds around the house.
Valuables?
Nothing.
Jewelry? Silver?
Nothing worth a great deal. The silver's reasonable. There's bits and pieces. Mitzi was cleaning it last night.
I can touch it. It is nothing to you secret police officers. You come here, you play me all the time. It was the same where I come from. Torture, interrogation. But you get nowhere. You see, I not crack, I tell them nothing. Yeah.
Is she always like this?
Torture me. You get nowhere. I am innocent. Innocent. I am locked in the dining room. That is my 100% alibi, as you say.
And a very good alibi it is. Perhaps too good on the surface. Now just sit down and try to remember I'm not too keen on the history on it.
I'm not.
Sit! Sit! Let me say this to all of you. I don't want to be here any more than you do. There's a very good football match going on at Milchester that I would very much like to see, but other matters are more pressing. Please, can we continue this interrogation without any more interruptions? Miss Blacklock, we've established that you knew Rudy Shares.
Excuse me, Inspector. I'm sorry to interrupt. I knew him too.
You didn't mention that last night.
I did, but you weren't here at the time, and when you arrived, well, you rather neglected me.
Did I?
Probably because I arrived here after the action took place.
Rather like turning to the end of the book to see who the killer is.
As an analogy, it doesn't work, because that's cheating.
I usually guess who it is without having to resort to those tactics. Do you turn to the last page?
If only I could. You knew Rudy Shares, you said?
I met him whilst I was staying at the Royal Spa for intensive treatment, for rheumatism. He made up my bill.
Ah,
There were one or two discrepancies, which I couldn't fail to notice, of course.
of course.
It was obvious to me that he was on the make, as they say in the trade. When the errors were pointed out, he apologized profusely, but we both knew.
Did you report him?
There was nothing I could actually prove.
He does seem to have been a bit of a villain. I'll know more soon. The Swiss police are running a background check on him. I'd like all of you to take up the exact positions you were in last night. That is, when the shots were fired.
Would you like me to leave? I was coming up the drive.
So you were outside when you heard the shots?
As you will soon realize, Inspector, I came in through the back door. Bitsy was baying about like a maniac. I let her out, and then we both came in here.
Tell you what you can do. Keep an eye on her. I don't want her banging about again.
I was not banging about.
Shush! Shush!
Oh,
Shush!
Come along, Bitsy.
Now, come along, everyone. Please. Thank you. Thank you very much. The lights go out, a flashlight comes on, and lands on you.
My hands weren't up. I thought he was joking. And then he barked at me. I put my hands up so high, like this.
He couldn't complain at that, could he?
I thought he was going to shoot me.
You're Miss Blacklock's niece, right?
That's right.
That's the sort of answer I like. Full of confidence. You are Miss Blacklock's niece.
It's just that I don't see what my relationship with Aunt Letty has to do with this.
May I suggest you leave me to work that out? I was merely trying to establish who you are.
You can check up on it if you'd like.
Oh, I will. Your mother lives in the south of France, I understand.
She's lived there for some time. It suits her health.
Thank you. Miss Swetnam,
Yes.
the light moved on to you next, didn't it, Miss Swetnam?
I was completely dazzled. I couldn't see anything. I just heard that voice. Frightening, guttural.
You've not all that long returned to this country, is that right, Miss Swetnam?
My husband was in the diplomatic service. He died abroad. Naturally, I returned with Edmund.
And where were you abroad, that is?
Why? Turin. I don't see what my personal life has anything to do with this.
If my knowledge of geography hasn't entirely deserted me, Turin is not all that far from the Swiss border, is it?
No.
Thank you, Miss Swetnam.
Just what are you insinuating?
The light fell on you next, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Thank you very much.
Aren't you going to ask me any more questions?
Not right now. Mrs. Hayes, the light never actually fell on you at all, did it?
No, it didn't.
You were actually facing the door.
That's right.
Tell me, was it possible to see this man at all?
Not really. It was difficult to see anything.
But you were in a good position.
It was very dark. Suppose I could make out a shape, but nothing more.
How long ago did your husband die?
Why? What on earth has it got to do with this?
I'd like to know when and why you came to live here.
I still don't see what the relevance is.
Does it strike you as odd that virtually all of you are newcomers to Chipping Cleghorn?
It's never occurred to me until now.
Odd, though.
I came here a few months ago because I was offered a job, restoring the gardens at Deas Hall. I'm a trained horticulturist.
That's nice. Gardener. Miss Bucker.
You're not going to give me the third degree, are you, Inspector?
Not today, but if you can tell me what you saw, if anything, I would be very grateful. You were in a good position to see Miss Blacklock and the gunman if the lights had been on.
Yes, I was.
Why don't you start by telling me what you remember before?
Before?
Yes, and then we'll see what you remember after the lights went out.
Let me see. Letty was holding the vase.
No, Bunny dear. I was holding the cigarette box. I've been handing them around.
Oh, I remember now. Letty was holding the cigarette box, not the vase.
Then what, Miss Bunner?
The flash.
From the torch?
No,
Oh.
there was a flash. It must have been the light in the cigarette box. We always keep it polished.
Oh.
Then it was dark, and he fired his gun at poor Letty. How could anyone do that?
You actually saw him fire the gun?
I saw the gun fire at Letty.
Thank you, Miss Bunner.
He should be locked up.
Bunny, he's dead.
Oh, it serves him right. He tried to shoot Letty.
You were by the door, having a few drinks,
I only had one,
whatever you say, but you were by the door.
No, I was by the door, but he told me to move away from it. After the first two shots, he brushed past me, and I tried to trip him up.
Is that when you think he fell?
I suppose so.
And after that, you went out to mend the fuse.
Yes. I didn't mend the fuse, I had simply switched them around. It was quicker, of course, quicker for me. I knew where the fuse box was, what circuit was affected. And,
You're Miss Simmons' brother?
yes.
And Miss Blacklock's nephew?
No.
I understood that you were.
We're second cousins, Inspector. Patrick's mother is my first cousin.
I see.
When we came to live here, our mother was always referred to as aunt, so we simply followed suit.
How long have you been living here?
3 months, I should suppose.
So, the three of you have only really known each other since about June or July of this year.
I didn't know them as children.
I see. Would you mind going back to the exact position you were in when the shots were fired, Miss Blacklock? Well, that was a very narrow escape, wasn't it?
I was extremely fortunate.
Well, that wasn't too painful, was it?
We can go?
Yes, but don't take a sudden and unexpected holiday or anything like that.
Excuse me, Inspector.
Yes, Miss Marple?
You haven't questioned me yet.
Well, you didn't turn up till after the action.
Suppose I was lying. Suppose I was Rudy Sher's accomplice. I could have locked Mitzi in the dining room, hidden away for a while, I know the layout of the house, and then turned up after it was all over.
Well, in that case, I'd put you under arrest.
Oh, but I didn't do that, and I'm not his accomplice.
Well, in that case, you're free to go.
How disappointing. You're having a game with me, Inspector.
Come with me, Miss Marple. I shall question you when I'm ready.
Very well.
Goodbye, everyone. I shall be talking to all of you again very soon. Miss Blacklock, I'd like you to stay for a moment. Sit down, please, Miss Blacklock. Miss Blacklock,
Yes?
I think it's cards on the table time.
I don't understand, Inspector.
I think you do. Someone tried to kill you last night.
No, Inspector.
I think there's no doubt of it.
But why?
I hope we're going to find that out.
I think you're wrong. Rudy Shares had plenty of opportunities to kill me if he wanted to. Why wait until last night? Why invite witnesses?
What makes you think it was Rudy Shares?
Well, it was, wasn't it?
He did place that advertisement in the Gazette.
Well, there you are. It sort of proves my point. If Rudy Shares really wanted to kill me, why not wait behind a hedge and cut me off when no one was about? I think you're wrong, Inspector. He did not come here to kill me.
Someone could have put him up to it.
Put him up to it.
Yes. Someone who wanted you dead and was preparing to pay Rudy Shares to do the job. You see, I'm not so sure his death was an accident.
How could it be anything else? He tripped and shot himself.
No. Supposing there was someone else. What if this someone had assumed he had done his job and killed you? Wouldn't it be safer to shoot Rudy Shares so that there was no possibility of him getting caught and telling us the truth?
I see exactly what you're saying, Inspector.
So you agree with me then?
No! Because why? Why should anyone want to murder me?
I have a feeling you may be able to answer that.
I can't. I have no enemies that I know of. I am on friendly terms with everyone in the village.
Who gets your money if you die?
Is this really necessary, Inspector?
Please, Miss Blacklock, indulge me. Answer my question.
Patrick and Julia. I might add that the furniture and a small annuity goes to Miss Bunner, so I suppose that makes her a suspect as well. The point is, there really isn't much to leave. Frankly, I'm not worth murdering.
You'd be surprised what people would do for money.
Really, Inspector, I find this conversation to be extremely distasteful. You are accusing people that are very dear to me. People I trust. Yes, people I trust with my life.
Have you got anything of great value?
Nothing special. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Those pearls you're wearing?
They're priceless. But only to me. They belong to my sister. We were very close. I wear them all the time. They almost... and I don't suppose you'll understand this for a minute. They keep me close to her.
I like to think that I'm not an insensitive person, but I still think someone is trying to kill you. Can you come back to the wall for me, please? If he merely intended to frighten you, he could have fired the shots into the ceiling. But think. The clock struck the half hour. Everyone turned to it. The lights went out. The door swung open.
Miss Marple!
Give me that gun.
It's a toy, it fires potatoes.
What's this all about?
I couldn't help but wonder how that young man was in 3 places at once. Fusing the lights, locking Mitzi in the dining room, and opening the door with a gun in one hand and a torch in the other. I couldn't. I had to put the gun down, open the door, and pick it back up again. He must have been a very athletic young man.
Good point, Miss Marple.
That's praise indeed. Tell me, Inspector, do you think Rudy Shares had an accomplice?
Miss Marple,
Yes,
would you like my job?
I would, but I'd never make a policeman.
You think not?
I'm too old. I started my charade in the hopes that I could prove my theory that Rudy Shares was here to murder Miss Blacklock.
I've been trying to convince her of that myself. Perhaps now you'll see it's not the rantings of an hysterical copper.
Just because Miss Marple agrees with you doesn't mean to say that you're right.
I'm trying to save your life.
I believe that too, Miss Blacklock.
Somewhere there's a reason. And it may be hidden deep inside your mind, but you've got to bring it out.
There's no reason, I'm sure.
Please! Think.
But I understand you could inherit millions.
Miss Marple.
Miss Bunner told me the other day over coffee.
Ha! Trust Bunny! I shall have to do something about her.
Why have you been keeping something back from me?
It's nothing. It doesn't concern you or this case. In fact, it's most unlikely to happen.
Do I have to ask Miss Marple or Miss Bunner for the details?
Miss Marple is referring to Randall Goodler's will.
Randall Goodler?
A financier, very flamboyant. He was hailed a genius in the city.
He was. I was his personal secretary for nearly 20 years. He made millions.
I understood that that may have never happened.
Well, you seem very well informed, Miss Marple. Why don't you tell the inspector?
I'm very sorry, I didn't mean to be rude.
No, there's no need. But Bunny does get things muddled. You may have gotten a strange version of the truth.
What is the truth?
Well, I loaned Randall Goodler some money in his early days. Everything I had. But he was up against it. A step away from losing everything that he had worked for. But he didn't. I more or less became a junior partner, and when he died, he left a fortune.
To whom?
To his wife, Belle, in trust for her lifetime. When she dies, it all comes to me.
And you believe this has Nothing to do with the shooting?
How can it? Rudy Shares didn't really know me, let alone Randall Goodler, and his will wasn't made public.
I'll have my people look up the details. Tell me, how did Miss Goodler feel towards you?
Well, Belle and I were always great friends. I haven't seen her for many years.
Honey was telling me she isn't doing very well these days.
Yes, Belle was never very strong. But Randall always said she'd outlive us all. Well, the trouble is that she's had difficulty remembering anything or anyone now. Oh, poor Belle. I should go and see her. Oh, but she lives in Scotland and it's such a long way. You know, Inspector, I've had an excellent reason for wanting to murder Belle for years.
So, if she dies, you get everything?
Well, most of it.
What happens if you die before she does?
It goes to Pip and Emma.
Who?
Yes, it sounds funny, doesn't it? Well, Randall had a sister, Sonia. They had a falling out when she married a man called Dimitri Stamfortis. He sounds Greek, but he wasn't, mid-European or somewhere. Randall hated him.
So he cut Sonia out of his will.
That's quite right, Inspector, but it didn't matter. She was rich in her own right. Well, Randall and Belle's lawyers persuaded them to add someone else to the will in case I died before her. Very sensible. The only communication that we had from Sonia was a letter about 2 or 3 years after she had married, saying she was deliriously happy and had given birth to twins.
Pip and Emma.
Yes, the names must have been a joke between the two of them. One born right before midnight and one just after.
So, you're saying that somewhere out there there's a young man and a young woman who are destined to become millionaires? If you die before Belle Goodler, does anyone know what happened to Sonia and her husband?
Well, the last we heard, they were living in Eastern Europe.
How old would Pip and Emma be now?
About 25 or 26.
They must be found. Have you any idea what they might look like?
No, there were no photographs. Well, we probably wouldn't have anything that would help us recognize them now.
What about Sonia? They may resemble her.
Sonia? Well, she was dark, rather temperamental, but very attractive.
Pip and Emma.
Or Sonia, considering the fact that her husband, Dimitri Stamfortis, wasn't it? If he was a rogue, like you said, he may have used up all her money. Then she had something to gain if he died.
Dimitri would too.
Yes.
So that's at least 4 people who would benefit from your death, Miss Blackwell.
Oh, but you can discount Patrick and Julia. If I die now, they only get a pittance.
I don't believe in discounting anyone at this stage, and I would advise you to do the same.
Is anything wrong?
No, nothing at all.
Then why you look at me so strange?
I'm sorry, Mitzi, I hadn't realized. There's nothing wrong at all.
Just a minute, Mitzi.
What you want, policeman?
Have you any relations in this country?
What you want to know?
Any family?
My family is dead. Massacred.
You mean you have no one? Brother or something?
I am alone.
No distant cousins? English relatives, perhaps?
Me? English? Oh, if it were not so funny, I would be in
papers.
Everything is in order. I report to the immigration authorities every 3 months.
Calm down. It's routine. I'm obliged to do it.
Thought you not to arrest me now? Huh? You think I do this thing, this murder? Very well. Arrest me. Put on the handcuffs.
Oh, good. You're arresting her, are you, Inspector?
I don't care. Arrest me.
Put your hands down. I'm not in the mood.
You should arrest her, Inspector. She stole a cup.
I'm not stealing anything. You stupid old woman.
Buddy, what's this all about?
One of your favorite coffee cups, Buddy. They were on the Welsh dresser in the kitchen, and she never lets anyone go in there. There were 6, and now there are only 5.
Mitzi, I won't be angry with you. Did you break one?
First, murder. Now stealing and buying. Because I'm foreigner. That is the truth. It's her. She is the screwy one. She has done something we should have forgotten. She should be put away.
Mitzi, you are being very rude. Apologize to Miss Bunner.
No, I go. You find someone else. I don't blacken your doorstep again.
I apologize for that outburst. Regrettable, but she's always like it.
I'm afraid she can't leave.
Oh no, don't worry, she won't. Such an explosive person.
And a liar. You should check up on her, Inspector. I dare say we'd all be surprised if we knew the truth about her.
Well, she does make excellent coffee.
It's the one thing she doesn't put garlic in.
Miss Marple,
Yes, thank you.
Inspector.
Not right now, if you don't mind. Perhaps you could take me around the house again?
Yes, of course. Bunny, pour the coffee, would you?
Oh, yes. You like it black, don't you?
No, I like it white.
Oh, right. I don't know how you drink it black. I like mine with lots of milk and sugar. I've always had a sweet tooth. Letty was always teasing me about it when we were children, I remember.
Not many friendships last as long as yours do.
She saved me, you know.
From what?
I was destitute.
Surely not.
You don't believe me?
Yes, of course.
She's so good. Not only to me, to everyone. Nobody appreciates her the way I do.
She does seem to take a rather lot of people under her wing.
Too trusting. Too trusting by far.
But she doesn't strike me as the type of woman to be easily fooled.
She's not a woman of the world, you know. Not like us.
But if she worked for Randy Goodler all those years.
Oh, yes. Who told you about that?
You did, the other day.
It's a secret. You can't tell anyone. Poor Lottie. Poor Lottie. Whenever I think of her, that poem comes to mind.
What poem?
Why, the one that goes, with sad affliction bravely born.
What sad affliction, Miss Bunner?
What?
Sad affliction.
Why, looking after for her sister all those years. Only she would have done it.
Tuberculosis, wasn't it?
Gave up everything. Everything. No, Patrick, he's always taking advantage of her.
But I thought he was such a nice young man.
He keeps borrowing money from her and never paying it back. It wouldn't surprise me if it was him that Rudy stares into coming here last night, always playing practical jokes. They were probably going to split the proceeds so he can pay Letty back all the money he owes her. He's like all the young people these days. They have no respect for anything.
Well, they don't have it that all easy, you know.
Come and look at this. Here, on the side. There, a cigarette burn. It's only the young people who smoke in this house.
What a shame.
Such a beautiful piece.
Yes, this is too.
We have 2. A sea green one in this room, and a turquoise one in the other room.
No, this is the turquoise one.
Oh, yes. Dear me, this whole business really is getting on top of me. I'm more confused than ever.
Miss Potter, I am sorry. The violets have wilted. I was hoping they'd stay fresh for another week.
Oh, dear me, I must have forgotten to water them.
But,
No wonder.
well, never mind. I'll get you loads more, and I think I have someone who can fix this brand new.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Well, I must be going now.
Oh, must you? It's so nice having someone around who understands.
I have some shopping to do.
Oh, not that door. It's been sealed up for years. We used to have this table in front of it so people would know they couldn't go through, but Philippa suggested we move it here. She said it would integrate the rooms more. It was 2 rooms originally, you see.
What a good idea. Is there a key?
The builders were very clever. The same key opens all the downstairs rooms, but there's a different key for each bedroom.
So sensible.
Here, I'll show you. You see, it's very stiff, but you still can't open it.
What are you doing?
I'm terribly sorry, Miss Blackwell.
Miss Marple?
Oh, don't be upset, Letty. It was my fault. I was just telling Miss Marple about Philippa suggesting you move the table away from the door.
It's my fault, Miss Blacklock. I have an insatiable curiosity.
No, I'm sorry. After everything that's been going on, I've been a little overwrought lately.
My nerves have been on end too.
Well, the store hasn't been open since they made these 2 rooms into one. And I believe that was at the end of the last century.
Miss Butler, my sergeant has found your missing coffee cup down by the duck pond.
How clever! I should have asked you to find it in the first place, shouldn't I? You being a detective and all.
Yes, it's all part of the job. We also find missing budgies as well.
Well, how did my coffee cup get out there?
Using my obvious powers of detection, I would say that someone threw it there. Have you any idea why there might be oil in it, Miss Blackwell? I think I have, Inspector. Surprise me, Miss Marple. The hinges have been oiled. Quite recently, I'd say. So that it would open silently. This means that if Rudy Shares had an accomplice, why, it could have been anyone in the room last night. Well, whoever it is knows that this door can be opened, and he may try to use it again. Let's hope I'm here when he does. 11:30. I must get back to the station. Would you like a lift, Miss Marple? Yes, please, Inspector.
Well, I better go lock out the ducks.
Oh, can I help, Letty?
Of course, come along. Poor things must be wondering what's gone wrong today. Goodbye, Miss Marple.
Letty? Letty, it's me, Clara. I forgot to bring the honey.
I'm sorry, Bunny. It would have been a better present if I could have gotten into the shops yesterday.
Oh, no, it's fine. The Los juice is just what I wanted.
I'll get you something on Monday, Bunny.
Oh, I don't want you to put yourself in any trouble, Patrick.
If only the inspector would have let us get away earlier. I'm sorry.
So am I, Bunny, about the party as well.
But we couldn't have gone ahead with it, could we?
No, that's what I said. I'll have to cancel my birthday party after all this dreadful business. I don't mind. It doesn't upset me.
I mean, I don't understand why we couldn't have just gone ahead with it. I mean, the man knew none of us. Broke in here, almost killed Aunt Letty and tried to rob us. And just because he got what he deserved, you decide poor Bunny has to suffer.
I can't believe that even you can be so insensitive, Patrick.
Oh, I'm quite sensitive sometimes. I see the way you and Edmund Swinton look at each other.
What's the matter, Patrick? Are you jealous?
Whatever's this? Lover, isn't it?
It most certainly isn't that.
Careful, darling. You know what they say about the woman who doth protest too much.
Oh, dear, please don't argue. Such a headache. All the shooting and the questions, well, the pain was quite devastating.
Well, why don't you take something for it?
Oh, no, I shall be all right.
Don't be silly.
I can't find my aspirins anywhere, Betty.
There's a bottle of aspirin on my bedside table.
Thank you, but I shall be fine.
Of course you will, but why suffer?
Well,
Shall I go?
no. The least I can do is get them myself.
You really do know her well, don't you?
She surprised me this time, holding out so long before mentioning her headache.
But you said she developed a stinker, and you were right.
It's a shame we couldn't have had the party. She had really been looking forward to it.
Well, I'm glad it was her suggestion to cancel.
I mean, where's the harm?
Well, we could have the cake with tea and make it sort of a small party, just for the family.
That would cheer her up to no end. Only a teeny weeny party.
Blast you, you're making me feel dreadful.
I'll buy you a milk stock down at the one top.
Go away. Well, we've got to have tea anyway, so why not?
Oh, good. Why don't you go with Julia and tell Mitzi we'll have the cake after all?
Righto.
Philippa, I don't mean to be inquisitive, but there's something worrying you, isn't there?
Well,
Is it anything to do with your son?
no, he's fine. He loves his school. The fees, well, obviously they're a bit of a problem.
Then there is something.
It'll be all right.
Anything you tell me will be in the strictest confidence.
There's nothing to tell, really.
Very well. Well, I have something to tell you that may help ease your worries.
There's nothing I can't cope with.
Philippa, I know that you're very independent. I can't help you much now, but hopefully soon.
Please, Letty, don't give it another thought. I shall be able to manage.
I want you to know. I spoke with my solicitor yesterday, and I'm changing my will. Apart from Bunny's legacy, everything goes to you.
Me? But you can't be serious.
Yes, I am, and it's already in hand.
I don't want it. You mustn't do this. What about Patrick and Julia?
They have no claim on me. You are now the main beneficiary.
Why are you telling me all this?
Well, what's wrong with wanting to tell people about my will?
I can't let you do it.
Believe me, Philippa, there's a very good reason for why I'm doing this. If I die now, you won't get much, but if I live, you could come into a lot of money.
Die? But you're not going to die.
You'll never know.
Here are Miss Marple, Mrs. Swetnam, and Edmund Swetnam. Thank you. Go to bed.
Clara! Oh, Miss Marple, this is a surprise. There's nothing wrong, is there?
Wrong!
I do suppose when the three of us show up here these days, it doesn't pass their trouble isn't far behind.
Well, I sure hope it is. I've had enough for one weekend.
It's all my fault they're dropping in like this. I called round to Claire and Edmund to suggest it. I hope you don't mind. It seems such a shame it's gonna happen to cancel her party.
We thought we'd all bring her a little present each. I'm afraid we haven't got anything very exciting.
Oh, but how kind.
We won't stay, of course.
Oh, but you must stay to tea. And Mitzi is making her special cake.
We'd love to stay. Thank you.
Yes. Would that be all right with you, Philippa?
Oh, well, yes, of course.
Good.
Oh, by the way, Letty, did you find the honey?
Oh, I'm sorry, Clara. I forgot. I did. Thank you very much.
How silly of me forgetting to leave it in the first place. I came to the back door and couldn't find you anywhere. We were all the way home before we noticed. Weren't we, Edmund?
I'm sure it could have waited until some other time.
But it was your idea.
Oh, but we did need it. Mitzi always uses it in her special cake.
See?
Well, it looks as though we're going to have a party after all.
Just cake and tea.
So nice that you're here, Miss Marple.
Yes.
Sweet of you guys to come celebrate Buddy's birthday.
Yes. It was such a shame what happened.
Really.
She was so upset.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad I brought that honey anyway. Because, as we established, we had to use it in the cake.
Yes.
I can't wait to try the cake. I've always been very fond of Lizzie's recipes.
Yes. Well, Patrick, why don't you go see if Bunny's coming?
Yes.
Yes, she was.
All right, she's coming.
Happy birthday, Bunny!
Oh, but I canceled my party.
Well, we decided to have cake and tea anyways.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, and here's a little something to wish you a very happy birthday, Miss Bunner.
Handkerchiefs. Just what I wanted.
I'm afraid there's only a few.
It's only apples from the garden.
What a lovely thought.
And I brought you some honey. I'm afraid the bees aren't so very busy, so it's only half a jar.
Oh, I suppose that can't be helped. I must take these aspirin. I have a thumping headache still.
Patrick, there's some water on the sideboard.
Wouldn't I still be having a headache on my birthday?
Well, you'll soon feel better, Bunny.
Oh, wow.
What a magnificent. I accept myself. This time I put in a special secret ingredient. Give it that extra bit of flavor. Make it even more than perfect.
Have you noticed the candle, Bunny?
Yes.
Only one?
Of course, there isn't room for all 21 candles, now is there?
Why don't you blow out your candle, Bunny?
Do hurry up and cut it, Bunny.
Oh yes, we're all dying to try.
Who's first?
You, you're the birthday person, you must have the first slice.
Go ahead, Bunny. I'll cut the rest.
Don't forget to make a wish, Bunny.
What are you wishing for, Bunny?
I'm not telling. It won't come true.
If I were you, I'd wish him dead.
You weren't my sister.
Oh, but I am.
It's the excitement! It's been too much for her! Someone get some brandy!
Okay, quickly, Bunny, what's the number?
5-8!
I'm afraid there's no need. It's too late.
Delicious death.
What are we going to do?
Well, think of something.
They're bound to find out. Can't last much longer.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. For God's sake, Patrick.
You'll achieve nothing by panicking.
You will help me, won't you?
Haven't I? Done everything you've asked.
I know. You've been wonderful. I need you.
Well, can't stop now.
What's done is done.
I did it for you.
Good morning, Miss Simmons. How are you, Mr. Simmons?
Well, thank you.
Found out any more, Inspector?
We're making progress. We're not interrupting anything, are we?
No, nothing at all.
No.
Well,
Oh, I see. We'll go feed the ducks or something.
Mr. Simmons,
Yes?
did you know you've got lipstick on your collar?
I simply forgot to switch shirts this morning.
Well, he can't blame you, can he, Miss Simmons?
Hardly.
Well, the ducks.
By the way, Miss Simmons,
Yes, Inspector?
you work at the pharmacy at the local hospital, right?
That's right.
Thank you. There are more urgent things. Now,
I find it more and more difficult to accept your reasoning, Inspector. How can you possibly suggest that I was the intended victim this time? Any one of us could have eaten that cake, and Patrick suggesting that Clara's honey had been poisoned. It's malicious.
I
Oh, cake poisoned. Did Mitzi?
It wasn't the cake.
But
It was these.
my aspirin.
Yes. Your aspirin, the ones you normally keep by your bed.
No.
Someone wants you dead. Very, very badly.
I'm frightened, Inspector.
At last! Perhaps now you'll help me find who the murderer is.
I haven't purposely been non-cooperative. I just can't believe
There's
that.
no friendship where money's concerned. Did you know that Belle Goodler's condition has deteriorated recently?
I knew that she wasn't well.
The Scottish police have reported that she's seriously ill.
Poor Belle. I should go and see her.
It could be poor Miss Blacklock.
Pip and Emma.
Yes, they're uppermost in my mind, but it could be a combination of them and their parents who are trying to kill you. The father, Dimitri Stamfordis, you said he was a rogue. Would he go as far as to murder to get money?
I'll do anything you say.
Good. You must try to remember anything and everything you can about him, Sonia, Pip and Emma, but the son and daughter in particular. Are there any photographs of them?
No. Belle Goodler is more likely to have photographs than I am.
I'm afraid we drew almost a complete blank with her. They allowed the police up there to search the house, but they didn't find anything. Are you sure you don't have anything? What I'm hoping is that Pip may take after his father, or Emma, her mother.
Or the other way around.
Exactly.
Well, there was an old album somewhere in the house. I haven't seen it for many years.
Find it.
It may take a long time.
Would you like some help?
No, thank you. I'd rather do it myself first.
I believe you want to see me?
Yes, Mrs. Hayes. You can sit down.
Oh dear, this sounds serious.
If you lie about something, Mrs. Hayes, just know that you'll have to cover your tracks very, very carefully. Yes, you do understand. You know what I'm talking about. Don't lie anymore.
Everyone says we have more freedom nowadays. The world is more understanding than it ever was. Well, Inspector Craddock, you try being an unmarried mother.
I don't think it would work.
It isn't easy in a small village.
So you invented a husband.
How do you think Letty Blacklock would react if she knew the truth?
Well, Miss Blacklock strikes me as an understanding and sympathetic person. What's more is that she's no fool. I have a suspicion she might have already guessed the truth.
So that's why.
What?
She's so kind to me. There aren't many like her.
Does your son know the truth?
He believes his father died.
Silly. He'll find out sometime.
Maybe.
My advice to you is to tell him. And everyone else.
Will you tell the others if I don't? It isn't a crime.
I couldn't live with it, but it's up to you.
How did you find out?
I do a lot of routine work.
You've been checking up on me?
Sort of.
You make it sound very casual.
It's not casual, but it is puzzling.
Puzzling.
It's only a small matter. It has to do with your son's birth certificate.
Yes.
Well, it lists the mother's name as Philippa Hayes.
Well, that's me.
Oh, well, in that case, there's a problem. You see, we can't find the birth certificate for anyone named Philippa Hayes. At least not one that corresponds with what we know about you.
I found it. Am I interrupting something?
Your timing is perfect. Mrs. Hayes and I were just finishing up. For the time being. Are there any photographs of Sonia and her husband?
I haven't gotten to look yet.
It's Is that her?
No, that's Belle. She's beautiful, isn't she?
Belle at Skane.
That would be their place in Scotland. I'm afraid the writing is rather faded.
Tell me when there's one of Sonia and Dimitri. Someone got to this ahead of you, Miss Blacklock, didn't they?
Yes, it appears as though they've been ripped out.
Letters.
They'll be from my sister.
If you've no objection, I would like to take a look at these.
Well,
There might be something about Sonia or Dimitri.
I'm not sure, Inspector. These photos might be more helpful.
Miss Blacklock.
Not now, Mitzi. I don't want to be interrupted at the moment.
I not interrupt. I give you the sack and I go.
Mitzi! But she can't go. Mitzi! I'm sorry, Inspector. I must go after her.
Certainly.
Missy! Missy, where are you going? Where are you going? I am going to stay with this house.
Inspector,
Oh, my little sleuth, you're just in time.
some people say I'm like a bad penny.
Not me, Miss Marple. Not me.
I passed Miss Blacklock. She told me to come in. That girl of hers, Mitzi, was herring down the drive like a maniac.
She is rather funny, isn't she? Well, now that you're here, maybe you can make yourself useful and help me with a little research.
Certainly, but I do have to talk to Miss Blacklock.
It won't take long, and I don't think you'd want to pass up the opportunity of going through someone's old letters.
Inspector, that's not like me. Whose are they?
They'll be from Miss Blacklock to her sister Charlotte. If you find anything helpful, as well as interesting, read it out to me, please.
Very well.
Here's something that's been mentioned before.
Oh,
It refers to her disfigurement. Charlotte's, that is. It's not as bad as you think, and you shouldn't lock yourself away.
I wonder what it was, this disfigurement.
He doesn't say specifically, but I don't suppose it's anything much.
Then why should she lock herself away?
In my experience, most women are extremely vague. What would you do if you had a mole on the end of your nose?
I wouldn't have to look at it.
But most women would hide themselves behind a veil.
It's mentioned here again. Listen. I do wish you'd get out more. No one else notices it.
You see? Your vanity.
Maybe.
Oh, I believe this is what I've been looking for.
What is it?
About Sonia Goodler, her fights with her brother. Sonia has such a violent temper, it's quite terrifying sometimes.
Did you ever find any photographs of Sonia?
They seem to have disappeared, rather conveniently. But violent temper, and Miss Blacklock says she was dark and attractive. Makes you think, doesn't it?
It does indeed, Inspector. Here's something interesting. You can always tell when Sonia is angry. She has a habit of clenching and unclenching her fists. Who does that remind you of?
You've got me there. That's something I missed.
Then you don't miss much, do you? Julia Simmons does it when she's agitated.
Well, I've been keeping a very close eye on both Julia and Patrick Simmons, and their mother in the south of France did confirm that they are staying here.
There's no mistake.
Well, unless the woman in the south of France isn't their mother.
Could she be Sonia, hiding out of the way until all the action is over?
The French police must have checked on her. They're very thorough.
So she really is Letty Blacklock's cousin.
Almost certainly.
I was hoping we found Emma, but I always knew there was a chance I was wrong for suspecting Julia. She's not the only one that does that hand-clenching business. Philippa Hames does it as well.
It's very observant of you, Miss Marple. 10 out of 10.
I wonder what this means. Lots of love and backup. This iodine treatment may make a lot of difference.
It must have been some sort of treatment they used to cure things back in those days.
For what?
Tuberculosis. That's why Miss Blacklock sent her sister to Switzerland. Who does this remind you of?
I must admit, that does look a lot like Clara Swetman, but,
What?
well, it is an old photograph, Inspector.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting, Miss Marple. You wanted to see me?
Yes, about the funeral service.
Well, I must get back to the station. I'll take these with me if you don't mind. I'll return them later. Goodbye, ladies.
Goodbye, Inspector. I am sorry for calling upon you at a time like this, but my nephew wanted you to know that the preparations are almost done, and he'd like to know what hymns you'd like.
Lead Kindly Light was her favorite hymn. Please thank him for me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me.
Don't, please don't.
It's come to me so suddenly. What I've lost. She was my only link to the past. The only one who remembered. And now she's gone. And I'm quite alone. Quite alone.
I understand. Cousins, nephews, nieces are all well and good, but when the last person you spent your childhood with is gone, then you really are alone.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm just leaving.
Not on my account, I hope.
Oh no, my dear. I have something I must take care of. Goodbye, Miss Blacklock.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Well, looks like it's just me and you this morning. Mine's from Harry. He's looking forward to half term.
Well, it seems as though he's only just gone back to school.
Buddy, I realize it probably isn't the ideal time to mention it, but it is all right, isn't it? Harry coming here for half term.
Philippa,
What's wrong?
where are Patrick and Julia?
I think they're upstairs.
Will you
Why?
please go get them for me?
Patrick? Julia? Let anyone board with you?
Shall I go?
No, I'd like you to stay, thank you.
Julia won't be before a moment.
Sit down.
What's wrong?
I've just received this letter. It says, Dear Aunt Letty, I hope that I can still come to you on Tuesday. Patrick said that he'd let me know, but he hasn't. My train arrives at 6:15, and it's signed, yours affectionately, Julia.
Oh.
Is this from your sister?
I'm afraid so.
Then who is that young woman upstairs?
I can explain.
Do!
I know it was a stupid thing to do. Julia, my real sister, didn't want to take up some job at the hospital here. You see, she was offered a job at a theater north of here, an assistant stage manager. She'd always been stage struck, but she knew Mother would be furious if she took a job like that.
Will you please explain who that young woman is?
I'm trying to. We didn't return right back here when we first came back to England. There were parties to go to, people to see. And that's where I met Julie, the one upstairs. She and I had rather grown fond of each other, and since she wasn't doing anything in particular, it seemed like an obvious idea to just swap the girls' identities. I liked it for obvious reasons, and if Mother thought my sister was here, she couldn't object. I was going to tell you, but I couldn't under these circumstances.
Then who is that young woman?
Well,
Who are you? Who are you?
My name is Emma Stanfordis.
Surprised you decided to stay, Miss Stanfordis.
If I made a run for it, you'd only have caught up with me.
You wouldn't have gotten out of chipping Cleghorn.
Are you going to arrest me?
I'd like to know where your brother is first.
I don't know.
If this is some misguided family loyalty,
I honestly don't know.
Honestly, I can imagine that's a word that comes easily to you.
I know how you must feel about me, but
please, your brother, Miss Stamfordus.
I haven't seen him since we were 3 years old. When our parents split up, it was decided that I would go with my father and Pip with my mother.
Let's try something different. Where is your father?
Try the move. When I was old enough to take care of myself, he left me in Istanbul. I worked my way back here.
Where's your mother then?
I wish I knew. I looked everywhere for her. I even went to Scotland for information.
You went to see Belle?
Why not? She's my aunt, and I had hoped she might help me, but it was no use. She's not a part of this world anymore. Then I got to thinking about my uncle. Of course, I knew he was very rich. It occurred to me that if Aunt Belle were to die, I would probably be his last remaining relative. So I went along to Somerset House and looked up his will. Was I surprised? I searched everywhere for someone who even knew a Letty Blacklock. And I had the most amazing stroke of luck. Through an acquaintance, I managed to meet Patrick and his sister. When the swap was suggested, I had to stop myself from sounding too eager.
Well, I admire your self-control. It must have taken quite the effort to wait for the right opportunity to take a pot shot at me. Tipping Cleghorn, 7-8. Yes, hold on. Inspector, it's for you.
Hello. Yes, Craddock here. What? Well, keep me informed. That's a disturbing development. Miss Marple has been missing since she left here this morning. It's nearly 7 hours.
Here are Mrs. Swettenham and her son Edward. Thank you. You're welcome.
What is it now, Inspector?
All in good time.
Well, I don't appreciate policemen showing up at my house and asking me to accompany them. The neighbors will be tittle-tatting for weeks.
I shall be writing to the newspapers about this.
That'll keep you busy for a change, won't it? Well, Mitzi, I believe you have something to tell us.
Yes. I tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. When I first saw what happened on Friday, I can't do that.
We all know what a little liar she is.
Please!
I am in the dining room, as I say. Then I hear the gun go off. I look through the keyhole and, in the little moonlight, I could see Miss Blacklock!
Me? Mitzi?
It's absurd. You couldn't have possibly seen Miss Blacklock.
Go on, Mr. Swettenham. Why couldn't she have possibly seen Miss Blacklock? It's because she saw you, wasn't it?
Edmund, no, that's not possible.
If Miss Blacklock dies before Belle Goodler, 2 people stand to benefit. Emma Stamfordus.
And you think I'm hip? That's too fantastic for words.
Who told you about Pitt, Mr. Swettenham? I know I certainly did. And neither has anyone else in this room.
You're wrong, Inspector. I told him. He isn't Pip. I am. You're lying in assuming that Pip was a boy. Emma, you knew the truth. Why didn't you say anything?
Because I suspected who you were. The inspector was right. I was holding out of family loyalty. I didn't want to give you up.
You, of all people, Philippa?
I'm sorry, Betty. When my mother died, I was desperate for money. Hers had gone years ago. She told me about the will, and I discovered for myself that Frau Goodler had fallen seriously ill.
You had gone to a lot of trouble.
It was important to me. I wanted security, not for me, for my son. So I came here.
I was prepared to help both of you.
Yes, well, it was a part of my plan to get into your good books.
And it worked, didn't it?
I grew fond of
I changed my will in your favor.
it. It scared me stiff. I thought you found out who I really was, that you were trying to warn me off of my uncle's money.
So you came here to kill me for it.
That never occurred to me, even though I thought I was more entitled to it than you. There it is. I am Pip, and I'm glad you know it.
You two have been seeing quite a lot of each other, haven't you?
Yes. Well, Inspector, there's no need to suspect Edmund anymore.
Isn't there? Mr. Swetnam is a struggling young writer, not yet published, who would very much like to marry a rich woman.
It's not true.
You're in debt up to your eyeballs!
Nonsense.
And I can prove it! The bank? The bookmaker?
So what? Does that prove anything?
A rich wife would have solved all your problems, wouldn't it? But in order for her to be rich, Miss Blacklock had to die first, and you did something about that. Shall we start the Dormita Uni shares and turn Mr. Swetnam at me? Inspector, we won't get far. I apologize, Miss Swetnam. You'll need to see your solicitor as soon as possible.
It seems like a bad dream.
I'll need to see you down at the station.
Right now.
It won't take very long. Mr. Simmons, would you take Miss Swetnam home, please?
Yes, of course.
A call to her doctor also wouldn't do any harm.
Come now, Mrs. Swetnam. It's all over now.
Mitzi, you are a magnificent liar.
I do well, yes. I do what you ask.
You're a very clever girl, Mitzi.
Thank you, Miss Blacklock. I'll get you some coffee. You look tired.
Yes, that would be nice, thank you.
Black and strong.
A little milk, please.
Yeah. Are you drinking? Horrible.
Miss Blacklock, you can relax. You're perfectly safe now.
Thank God. You would have told me you arranged it.
Well, then you wouldn't have reacted as you did, and well, it was a little unorthodox, but it worked.
Well, what if it hadn't?
Well, then I would have been in quite a bit of a mess, wouldn't I?
Well, what about Miss Marple?
Perhaps they have some news from the station. I pray to God she didn't find out about Edmund Swetnam before we did.
Will you let me know if you hear anything?
Of course I will.
If only she would have feared.
I'll see you in the morning.
Yes, thank you, Inspector.
Here you are, Miss Blacklock. Nice and strong. I put some little milk.
One drop or two?
I take a liberty. I do myself some.
Of course.
Now, Miss Blacklock, we had a nice little chat.
Oh?
I need money. Lots of money.
Why tell me?
Because I think it will help me.
But I haven't gotten any money, Mitzi. None to spare, that is.
Ah. But soon you will be rich. Very rich. And then you will give me lots of money.
I don't think I will.
Ah, yes. You will. Because I help you. Now you help me.
But I pay you to help me with the house and the cooking.
No, no, no. That is not what I mean. Just now I tell big whopper for the inspector. Except it isn't a lie.
Well, you don't know the truth, Mitzi.
Oh, yes. I think I do. That policeman come to me, he say, Misty, you are a good liar. I say, yes, it's true. You tell that to me. He said if you look through the keyhole, you can see Miss Blacklock in the hall.
You did your part very well, Mitzi, but I shan't be paying you for it.
Ah, but he told me to lie. And it is not a lie. For once I tell the truth. I did see you in the hall. With a gun in your hands. You give me lots of money. I go to America, see my brother. You never get me again.
But Mitzi, you haven't got a brother. So I'm just supposed to give you all of that money for you to spend and come back and see if you can get some more?
I see you in the hall. You have a gun in your hand. Give me the money, or I will go to the police.
Very well. Here. Phone. Phone the police. Tell them that you saw me in the hall. Tell them that you saw me in the hall holding a gun. And I'll tell them that you're a liar. A liar who's trying to blackmail me.
I'm not a
And
liar.
you'll be sent to prison just like you say you were in your own country. I'll tell you why you won't do it. You were locked in the dining room, and you say that you saw me in the hall holding a gun? Well, my dishonest little Mitzi, that's another one of your lies. Because the police know, and everyone here on Friday night knows, that the key was in the lock. So it was impossible for you to see anything through the keyhole, wasn't it? Get out. Get out. Get out of my house now!
Lottie. Lottie. It's me, Lottie. You're in danger, Lottie. Danger.
Buddy, I loved you. I loved you so much. I didn't want you to die.
But she had to die. Every day she was becoming more and more of a liability.
Miss Marple.
I have
What
quite the
kind of
talent.
joke?
I have quite the talent for mimicry, or so I'm told.
A joke in the worst possible taste.
Such sensitivity doesn't become you, Charlotte.
Charlotte is dead. I am Letitia.
Bunny kept referring to you as Lottie instead of Letty at the most inconvenient times. I thought it was a slip of the tongue. I'm sure other people did too. But she was the only one left who knew the truth. Who remembered.
My dear woman, Bunny often got things muddled. Everyone knew it. For instance, Mitzi was often called Millie, and you, Miss Maple. She confused you with the London store. We all found it highly amusing.
She was putting you at risk every time she got muddled. And you couldn't take that risk any longer.
Miss Marple, how dare you? Will you please leave?
Recognize it?
It's mine.
And it used to be here, but this one replaced it. The Flexus frame, you can actually see the bare wire. Bunny put me onto it when she showed me the cigarette burn on the sideboard. She even told us all at one point that it was you holding the vase of violets and not the cigarette box as you insisted.
Another one of Bunny's muddles. I was holding the cigarette box. Philippa will confirm it. I offered her one.
All eyes were on the clock. As it finished striking, all you had to do was empty the water onto the wires. That was the flash Bunny saw and fused the lights. Very effective.
What a vivid imagination you have. I should be careful not to let it run away with you. I can't imagine your old age pension covers solicitor's fees.
I'll risk it.
It's your funeral.
I plan to live a few more years. When your father died, your sister Letitia
Charlotte.
decided to take you to Switzerland.
Charlotte had TB. It was the best place for her, and I had the money. I loved her dearly.
It was the right decision.
You, Charlotte, were cured, but ironically, Letty caught pneumonia and died. You were frantic because with her death, the Goodler millions would slip through your fingers. Then it occurred to you. You and Letty had been gone from England for a while, and you shared many similarities. Why not swap identities?
My birth certificate, my passport, and my bank will all confirm that I am Letitia. I even have Charlotte's death certificate.
You came back to this country. Dora heard that Letitia had returned and contacted her because she was badly in need of help.
So, if I was Charlotte, then Bunny would have recognized me immediately. Any deception that I would have planned would have been impossible.
She did recognize you, but when you explained it, Randall Goodler and Will, she agreed that it was your right to inherit the millions and even offered to help you. You were lonely, and here was someone you always had a great deal of affection for, and she could substantiate your lie. You took the risk.
Good. Very good.
It was going well for years until a few weeks ago. Then you had some bad luck. You ran into Rudy's shares, and he recognized you as Charlotte. Knowing that Belle could die at any moment and the type of man Rudy was, you knew that when the news broke about you not being Letitia and inheriting the Goodler millions, he would try and blackmail you. You dare not even allow him the smallest chance of doing that. You'd never get rid of him.
I have my methods of dealing with blackmailers, Miss Marple.
When he called upon you here, it was heaven sent. Fine, you said. Next Friday's the 13th, and I'm having a party for my friends. I want to give them a scare. Put an ad out in the paper saying a murder will take place here at 6:30 and turn up. I'll fuse the lights and you'll pretend it's a holdup. It'll scare them stiff. Then I'll give you your money.
Do go on. It's very interesting.
As I said, you fused the lights, went through this door, quickly along the passageway, locked Mitzi in the dining room, re-enter the room through this door, fired 2 shots at yourself, except you weren't there.
Then how do you account for the bullet that nicked my ear?
It was too obvious. Everyone knows that when the earlobe is cut, it bleeds profusely. A pair of scissors would do the trick. Then you shot Rudy's shares at point-blank range.
I'd laugh if I didn't feel some pity for you. Feel free to tell the inspector all that you've told me. And he'll put it down to the rantings of a senile old woman.
Oh.
Because we both know there's no proof.
Do you remember Bunny's favorite poem? In sad affliction bravely born. Switzerland isn't only famous for curing TB, you know. And a letter from you to Letitia, it mentions iodine treatment. For a while it baffled me, but with a little research, I realized that Swiss doctors were famous for perfecting a very special glandular operation for goiter. I'm perfectly sure that when the records are checked, it'll show that it was Lottie and not Letty who was operated on for a goiter.
Oh, what a pity you interfered. You're missing, presumed dead. Edmund Swettenham stabbed you and dumped your body in the river! Let go of me, Inspector.
It's all over! Are you okay, Miss Marple?
Yes, thank you.
You did very well. All right, everyone. You're safe now. It's all over.
You've no idea what I've been through. I shall never forgive you, ever!
Sorry, Mother. I could hardly tell you what you're up to. You would have never agreed to my doing it.
How can you deceive me like this?
I said I'd help the inspector on the condition that I get first to get all the facts. I'm convinced someone wrote this fascinating document. And if I don't write it, someone else will.
What does the inspector want with us now?
He didn't say.
The inspector told me to come in here and bring these. Hey, what do you think of my acting, huh?
You were acting, Mitzi?
I did even better when I pretended to blackmail Miss Blackhawk. I give up cooking and go on stage.
I owe you an apology, Miss Swettenham. I'm very sorry, but the fewer people who knew what I was up to, the better. That's why I couldn't tell you either.
Supposing you hadn't come to Edmund's rescue and admitted to me and Pip?
There was no real danger of that, was there? Well, now that you're all here, I have a little surprise for all of you. I thought you may be in the mood to enjoy it now. Delicious death! It's already cut, so dig in. Miss Whitman?
No, thank you. I'm on a diet.
Please. Miss Marble? Funny people.